Really quick, everybody, this entire video will be timestamped, so if you don't want to watch whole thing and just get straight into a different topic, please check the pinned comment or the chapter bar right down below you. Again, this entire video will be timestamped, and I'd appreciate you guys watching whatever part that you liked. If you're sticking around, guys, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I'm your guy with too many YouTube channels, and welcome back to everything that you missed in MMA this week, as the title suggests, as I'm suggesting right now. This is where we talk about everything that happened in MMA this week, from something really big that you've all heard about, something to do with Conor McGregor, or fights that about fighters that you've never heard about before. We're going to talk about all of it in just a second. Again, timestamps are there if you would like to use them, guys. Let's get into the first topic for today. Starting off with one that's a little bit sad, Bigfoot Silva. We were all happy to see that he finally retired after losing so many fights in a row. He's too old for this. His chin's gone. He can't do this anymore. He was once a great fighter, but he is no longer that man, and now he's already ended that retirement. He wants to have a rematch from his last fight, so Bigfoot Silva is going to continue to fight, and it's going to be still sad to see. Moving on to the biggest section of news of the week, it's about Conor McGregor and USADA, as you guys probably know because this has been making the rounds all over the place. Conor McGregor has not re-entered the USADA pool, which means he is not going to be fighting in 2023. This fight with Michael Chandler might be off, and I'm going to talk about Michael Chandler in just a second, but after this, I'm not confident that Conor McGregor is even going to fight, period. Like, even if you want to take a look at the ratings, it's not like Tough's doing amazing. You know what I mean? I don't know what to say. Like, either they're going to just give Conor McGregor an exemption. He's going to fight anyways. It's going to be like some Brock Lesnar situation. Or he really won't fight again. I think it's going to kind of be something in between there. I'd love to know what you guys think about Conor McGregor in his next fight down below, though. And this moves us on to Michael Chandler. So Michael Chandler, it's a little bit more interesting because right now he has pretty much two fights that are available to him right now, because Arman Tsarukyan just won his fight, and he's already sitting here and being like, Michael Chandler, you need to fight somebody around my rankings. You are open for an opponent. I'm here. I'm ready. But there's a bigger fight that could possibly take place, and I hope it takes place, but it probably won't. Eddie Alvarez has chimed in. Eddie Alvarez has been a little bit active on Twitter, I would say a few months ago, talking about how he would love to rejoin the UFC. Now, he wants to have a trilogy with Michael Chandler. These two have history, and they are such fantastic fights. If you guys have not seen Michael Chandler versus Eddie Alvarez, you need to go back and check it out. Fantastic stuff. I would love to see this. I really would. And Eddie Alvarez is so serious about that. He's like, I will enter the testing pool right now. Come test me whenever you want. This is amazing. It's an opportunity that I believe the UFC and Michael Chandler should jump on, but Arman Tsarukyan is also a good option. So Michael Chandler, no matter what his next fight is, it seems like it's going to be exciting. Next up, we have a little bit of drama with Scott Coker. Scott Coker has been making the rounds in the media, talking about how Vadim Nemkov, who just beat Yoel Romero in the most recent Bellator event, is the greatest light heavyweight compared to everybody in the UFC. This actually has some validity to it. I don't know how the matchups would go, like if it was Nemkov versus Yuri or Nemkov versus like maybe a couple guys at the very top of the light heavyweight division. However, I believe Vadim Nemkov, no matter what, can compete with those fighters. No matter who he went up against, if you put him up against Yuri right now, if you put him against Jamahal Hill, he would have a really good performance against them, win or lose. I want to know what you guys think about this too, if you've seen Vadim Nemkov fight, because very, very good fighter. I just don't know if Scott Coker is right when he says this. Regardless, it's been drama in the community this week. Next up, Khamzat Chimaev's next fight. He said that he wants to fight either Kamaru Usman or Israel Adesanya. This is nothing new, but it's been making the rounds just like it has been every single week. Don't know what's going on with this guy. As we see Khamzat Chimaev saying that he wants to fight and then the UFC not booking him, I'm kind of on board with the MMA guru's theory about him possibly failing a PED test and the UFC just keeping it under wraps. I don't mind that idea, but of course I can't just like throw accusations out there. I don't think the dude really looks like he's on anything, but we've seen it before. Hence Anderson Silva, somebody like that, right? But I just don't know. Like, this guy's such a draw, and they're not having him fight, and Khamzat is saying that he wants to fight. Somebody's lying or something shady's going on. I don't understand what's happening. Next up, there's some surprising beef between Jamahal Hill and Corey Anderson, and I don't know if I have the full context of this here, but apparently Jamahal Hill started it, and he was just saying that Corey Anderson had to go run and beat the guys in the B League. That being Bellator. It's not new for a champion to say, but then Corey Anderson piped up, and Jamahal Hill and him have been going back and forth just a little bit. It's a little bit weird. I don't really know what else to say about that, but hey, it's been making the rounds. Next up, we have an update from Marvin Vettori. He said this. He just had a post of this. He didn't really have an interview or anything as of right now. He just posted this with a caption. A lion remains a lion. Spirit was never broken. I'll be back stronger. I promise you that. That's kind of sad, in my opinion. That's kind of sad. I was never really too big of a fan of Marvin Vettori, But now seeing him like continuously almost getting to a title fight and then just getting knocked back down, like that was a really bad performance. And the dude's only 29 years old. I love that his spirit wasn't broken. And honestly, I'm cheering for him now. I want Marvin Vettori. Like, imagine the story that would be. Marvin Vettori coming back, getting an insane win streak, getting another shot about Adesanya because nobody can contest with him anymore, having the Max Holloway situation, and he actually wins. Will it happen? Absolutely not. But I'll be cheering for Marvin Vettori from this point forward. The dude does have heart. Moving on, a little bit of a weird one. We have Sean O'Malley versus women's MMA. Now, this, as far as I'm aware, this was kind of out of the blue because the clip has just been going everywhere, and he was just, I don't even know what kind of point he was trying to make. Maybe that they really don't need them. But what he was saying is, what if the UFC just had its own organization for women's MMA? Would they be able to sell pay-per-views? Would it last? And things like that. He was just asking questions, and it really seems like he was saying that they don't really belong in the UFC, but he didn't exactly say that. It's just a little bit of a weird situation, and honestly, like, they wouldn't sell any pay-per-views at all unless you're like, they need someone like Paige Van Zandt and Rachel Ostovich to fight again. That's how they do it, but yeah, it's a little bit weird, that one. I don't really have too much else to say about that. Next up, a potential matchup between Mike Malott versus Ian Machado. Garry Malott said that he does want this fight, and it is a bad matchup for Ian Garry. Now, thinking about this matchup, it's very interesting. Would the UFC have these two prospects go at it? I'm not sure. That's a toughie because they're I don't want to say they're hype trains, but they're drumming up attention for themselves. And Mike Malott just got an amazing win. He's finally getting attention. Would you want to kill one of these guys? You know, but Ian Garry might lose his next fight against Jeff Neal. So who knows? It's an interesting matchup. I don't know if Mike Malott's necessarily a bad matchup for Ian Garry, but it's interesting. I would actually be down to see this. Moving on, another potential matchup between Kelvin Gastelum and Shavkat Rakhmonov. Oh man, this was the one thing I was not hoping for with Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin Gastelum announced that he was going back down to 185 pounds, and 170 pounds. And I was like, great. He's sticking to a diet. He really wants to get down to the weight. He's going to dominate that weight class. Just don't fight Shavkat. I literally said that. But he's fighting Shavkat. And honestly, after seeing Shavkat's last performance, I don't mind this matchup. Kelvin Gastelum has that power when Shavkat was very hittable in his last fight. I'd have to look a little bit more into it on who I would pick to win this fight, but this is the most dangerous matchup, aside from Khamzat Chimaev, and that might not even be an option anymore, that Kelvin Gastelum could take. I would pick him to beat most guys in that division. This one, I'm just like, I don't know. But respect for both guys, man. That is awesome. Shavkat Rakhmonov risking his ranking, and Kelvin Gastelum risking his move back down with one of the toughest opponents, if not the toughest opponent you could face right now. I think he would have more of a problem with Shavkat than I think he would Leon Edwards. Truthfully. Very, very interesting fight. I hope the UFC doesn't book it. I hope they don't book it. And did I even mention this at the beginning? It started out with Shavkat called him out and Kelvin accepted. I don't know if I mentioned that. My apologies. Next up, guys, ready to be hit with some nostalgia? Ready? Junior Dos Santos versus Fabricio Werdum. They're fighting in bare knuckle on September 2nd. Huh? How crazy is that? We've heard some rumblings that something was going to happen with Fabricio Werdum, but man, they're having their rematch. How long ago was that? That's like when I started watching UFC like a decade ago. It's not going to be the same, but it's going to be really interesting to see, and I like that it is just boxing. Bare Knuckle's been doing some really cool things, man. Next up, Rafael Fiziev versus Mateusz Gamrot could be in the works soon because both agreed to a 5-round main event, but Fiziev said that no contracts have been sent out yet, so we don't know if this is a fight that the UFC is working on. Fiziev claims that both of them want this, and it was a little bit of a gray area on whether or not the UFC liked the idea, but hey, I am down for this. It makes sense in the division. It's a fantastic matchup. Got some crazy news for you now. Got some crazy news. Mark Zuckerberg versus Elon Musk could be on the horizon. Dana White is very interested in this, very interested in the pay-per-views that it could sell, and he seems overly excited talking about it. We have a video about this coming out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that if you're interested in the channel. I hope this doesn't happen. They started Twitter beefing, and Dana White talked to both of them independently and said they are absolutely serious and would do this. And Dana White's talking about it being one of the greatest selling pay-per-views of all time, not even with just MMA. Seems like he's interested in this. I hope it doesn't happen. just pay attention because it might. Now, guys, I apologize to do this to you, but I am going to pause the video for a second because I have a very, very busy day today. I am recording everything that you've seen last night, and if there's any other news, I will continue it after this. So that's why it's going to look different. It's probably going to be a little bit brighter in here. I'm going to change my clothes. My apologies. I don't know if this really hurts the video at all, but it's something that I have to do. I'll see you in just a second. And we're back, everybody. So we got a couple more things to add, and then we'll get into all of the fight announcements this week. First off, the Ultimate Fighter 31 finale date will be on August 19th. If anyone was hoping for Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler to fight there, absolutely not. That will never happen, but I thought that for some reason I thought it'd be later, but hey, that's the date. Now, unfortunately, with the fights this weekend, the fight that a lot of people, including myself, were really looking forward to is Taira versus Kleydson Rodriguez. That fight has just been canceled recently. Rodriguez missed weight by 3 pounds, and the fight is canceled. They're not going to take on, no 20%, nothing. The fight is just off. I am extremely disappointed by this because I was very excited to watch these two clash. Honestly, like one of the best fights on the card, but you know what? It's still a great fight night card. I'm still excited for it, but the fight's off. All right, guys, let's move on to all the fight announcements that happened this week, and get ready. There's a lot of them. We're going to rapid fire them. If there's something that I want to say, I'm going to say a little bit more about the fight. So we have Nora Cornell versus Jocelyn Edwards on September 2nd. Yana Santos versus Jarek Rose on July 1st. Tucker Lutz versus Melise Bagastarian on July 15th. Tatiana Suarez versus Jessica Andrade is on August 5th. Verna is out. Andrade just stepped into there. Kai Kara France is back already versus Manel Cap, on September 19th. That is a very good matchup for the division. I like that a lot. And then we have the one that people have been talking about all week, Henry Cejudo versus Marlon Chito Vera on August 19th. I cannot believe Henry Cejudo is still fighting. This is very dangerous. People are talking like Henry Cejudo is going to steamroll Marlon Vera. I don't think that's going to happen. While I would pick him to win, Chito's one of those guys that are always dangerous. I made a whole video talking about that fight, by the way. Feel free to check it out. We have Carlston Harris versus Jeremiah Wales on August 5th. Zara Farron versus Haley Cohen on September 2nd. Poor Haley Cohen, man. Well, maybe this fight will actually happen. Who knows? She had so many problems with canceled fights. Anyways, Volkan Ozdemir's back, okay? He's taking on Azmat Mirzakhanov, on September 2nd, as all those names get really tricky to pronounce, but very nice fight for the division. I like that fight a lot. And then, moving on to one championship. I don't usually talk about all the one championship fights, but here's a big one. Stamp Vertex versus Sam C. He for the interim belt on September 1st. I'm a big Stamp Vertex fan. I love watching her fight, so I will absolutely be watching this. Now, want to talk about great fights. We have Chris Curtis versus Anthony Hernandez on September 16th. Out of all the fights that got announced here, this might be one of the best ones. Think about this matchup. You have a guy that is such an animal on the ground versus a guy who just had his first takedown, or like on the receiving end of a takedown, the first time it's ever happened in his recent fight. Amazing. We'll tell Chris Curtis to wear a helmet. Song Yadong versus Rob Font is on August 19th. Another fantastic matchup, and I hate this matchup too because I'm a big fan of both guys and I want to cheer for both of them. Cameron Simon versus Terrence Mitchell is on July 8th. Rodriguez just pulled out of that fight, so Cameron Simon got a new opponent. Now, Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko 2 on September 16th. This is the fight we all saw coming. Very, very good. And I have like a little bit of a gut feeling that Valentina's missing a little bit of a step now, and Grasso might pull that off. Anyways, we have Diego Lopez returning versus Gavin Tucker on August 5th. I am very excited to see Diego Lopez again. I cannot wait for that. Now we have Manon Fiorot versus Rose Namajunas on September 2nd. The return of Thug Rose Namajunas. Who knew where that girl was? But man, you know what? I don't know how that one's going to go. We have Talia Santos versus Aaron Blanchfield on August 26th. Aaron Blanchfield, very exciting for the division. Brady Highstand versus Damon Blackshear on August 12th. I love watching a Damon Blackshear fight. The dude is so technical, powerful. I absolutely love watching him fight. Then we have Liang Na versus JJ Aldrich on August 26th. And finally, Anthony Smith versus Ryan Spann on August 26th. Now, one fight that I didn't mention, by the way, Anthony Smith versus Ryan Spann is going to be a banger. One fight that I didn't mention because I don't remember if I mentioned it last week or not, my apologies, is Corey Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. I don't remember if that came out this week or last week, but that is a fight. Oh, I want to make a whole video talking about Corey Sandhagen, what a dog that guy is, but because that is an awesome, awesome fight. Like all these fights that got announced, guys, what a great week of announcements. Now, guys, before I get you out of here, we're going to talk about all the fights to watch this weekend. Today, we have PFL and LFA. It's going to be difficult which one to watch, but I am a bigger LFA fan. Unfortunately, I know a lot of people would pick PFL over LFA. Nothing wrong with that, absolutely, but LFA, absolutely love watching those prospects come up. A lot of them get into the UFC, and then you get to know the fighters before they get into the UFC. And then tomorrow, early card, in my time at least, we have the UFC Fight Night card. That is an absolute banger of a Fight Night card. That is built like a Fight Night card that we used to have back in the days when they stacked the Fight Night cards. Hey, I'm just thankful that we have fights every single weekend, so I'm not complaining like most people do there, but man, Great weekends for fights. I'm so excited. I'm going to my dad's right after I post this, and we're going to watch the fights together. I'm excited. But with that being said, though, guys, that's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you are new here and you enjoy the content, please consider hitting the like button. It will help out the channel a ton. And subscribe if you would like to be kept up to date on all things MMA. We make this video every single Friday. For now, though, if you want to continue watching the Klembat channel, there'll be 2 videos on screen for you to check out. Check them out, guys. They are pretty great. I will see you there or in the next video, guys. Take care.